So you want to buy a home, but that down payment cash is pretty expensive. You have some money saved, but you're not quite there. In this video, I'm going to go through three different ways, three different strategies that you can potentially implement to help acquire some more capital for your down payment so that we can get you in a closer position to owning that first home. All right. My name's Emma, and I run a real estate team in Toronto called Monstera. We help busy professional millennials build wealth through real estate the slow, boring, and steady way. And that is by buying strategic AAA quality properties that retain their value, moving up the property ladder over time so that we can get you your dream home, not by chance. We can guarantee you do it, but we just have to build a great plan for you. If anybody wants to get in contact with me, there's a link to my calendar in the description below. If you don't actually just want to get in contact with me or hop on a call or anything like that, there is a link for a motivated sellers list. So if you're looking for deals in today's market, you can sign up for that list, and we send out both condo and freehold, so homes, the motivated sellers that are in the GTA at any given time, so you can see some areas of opportunities or deals that are putting their hand up to say, buy me at a discount. So without further ado, let's get into the three strategies. Before I actually go through the strategies, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I want to go through how much money do you actually need? So let's look at that first. So for the purposes of this video, I want to go through a $500,000 purchase price. And if you guys have not yet used ratehub.ca in this mortgage calculator and you're watching the video, I would highly suggest and advise using it. I've been using it for 7 years. Love it. Super simple to use. And I'm going to go through it today. So hopefully it gives you a little bit of a tutorial. So again, for the purposes of this video, we're going to talk about a $500,000 purchase price. And we're going to look at what is the lowest cash allocation that you will need to be able to purchase a $500,000. And I'm going to talk about condos for the purposes of this video. So your down payment would be 5%, and it would be $25,000. Now, the cool thing about this calculator is it'll always pull your absolute minimum requirement. So 700,000, you need 6.43%. So you don't have to do the manual calculations. But again, to keep it simple, let's talk about 500K. So a $500,000 purchase, you'll need a $25,000 down payment. But that's not everything, because we still have closing costs as well. So I want to break down what your total cash is going to look like. So at current rates, and I've selected 4.49%, which is a 5-year fixed rate, your monthly mortgage payment will be $27.31. All right. So you're going to have some closing costs, which are going to be, this is going to be the line item, or these are going to be the line items that you're going to need to be able to close on the property. So you got your down payment, your PST on your mortgage insurance. That's for another video, your land transfer tax, and then you're going to have to pay your lawyer. All right. So if you're a first-time home buyer, which I've selected off here, in Toronto, you're going to get about an $8,500 rebate. So your land transfer tax would be about $4,500. If you're in a different city in Ontario, you can just type your city in here. You will not have this municipal land transfer tax line item, and your rebate will be lower, but it'll adjust according to your region. All right. Now, this is the most important part, because this is going to tell us exactly how much cash we need. So after taking into consideration your down payment, which is, if you've never purchased a home before, I think most people just think they need just $25K, but it's not, because you don't want a nasty surprise when you get to the closing table and they go, hey, where's the extra cash? Like, you're going to need not quite 10 grand. You're going to need another $7,500 or so. And if you don't have the 7,500, it's kind of a bit of a rude awakening to have to go ask family and friends. So instead of factoring just 25K in, we're looking at everything that you need. So you're going to need about 32,500 approximately. Okay. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to assume that you have $12,500 in your bank account. We're not starting with nothing, but we still have more to save than we already have saved. So there are three ways that I see us getting the extra, again, $20,000 for the purposes of this video. So we have three strategies. We can save money, we can increase our income, and then we can invest the money that we already have for additional income to help us save the extra 20K that we're going to need to be able to buy that first property. Okay, so let's talk about savings. Here is my strategy for figuring out savings, because I think when we're talking about acquiring capital for a down payment, the default setting of those three strategies will typically be savings for most people. Like when I'm saying let's get your down payment, you're probably thinking I need to save for my down payment, but I think there's some other things that we can do as well. So the first thing that we want to do from a strategy perspective is list out all of the expenses that we have on a monthly basis and figure out which ones are costing us the most. You're probably thinking it's rent because for most people, if you don't own a home, you still need a place to live. And if you haven't noticed, rent's got pretty damn expensive recently. So you probably have your housing costs and likely your car payment, or if you've got a car payment. Those are probably going to be the two biggest expenses that you have guaranteed every single month. So what I would say is if you've got 15, 20 expenses on there, most people will go, okay, well, I can cut out Starbucks, or I can cancel my Netflix subscription. But my real question would be, what is $20,000 over the next 12 months if we're trying to figure out a way to be able to get you in a property by the end of 2023 for the purposes of this video, or by the end of next year? Okay. So if we divide 20,000 by 12 months, we've got $1,600 a month, 1666, that we need to figure out how we can acquire or save in addition to what we've got every single month to be able to hit our goal. So if we're gonna save and we look at the rent that you're spending every month, well, you go, all right, well, I'm spending, let's say, $2,500 a month currently. It's a lot. That, to be honest, at the time of this recording, is the average rental rate for a one-bedroom condo in Toronto, and that's potentially what we're looking to purchase in the example that I gave you guys. And so, if I know that the average two-bedroom rental is about 3,300, okay, and we divide that by two, and you split and I'm not saying that this is fun. I'm just saying it works. You go from 2,500 spending that out of your pocket every single month, and you go and move in with a roommate, and now you spend 1,650 because you're spending half the rent at 3,300 instead of 2,500 a month. You're looking at saving $850. So if we're trying to acquire 1,666 on a monthly basis, we're about 50% of the way there. Is that right? Yeah, we're about 50% of the way there by making that one change. So I don't want this to be a very complicated strategy for you guys. I want to figure out what the lowest hanging fruit is for you specifically to make one or two changes. And I'm not saying they're going to be the funnest changes. I'm just saying that they're going to be one or two very strategic changes that you can make to actually help you accomplish your goal instead of making this like an overly complicated system or strategy. So if we were to do that by saving money and by focusing on just the one or two things that actually cost us a ton of money every month, instead of saying I need to cut out these 10 or 15 little small things like Starbucks or going out for dinner with your friends or whatever it happens to be, I think that is one piece of low hanging fruit for a lot of people to help reduce that. Now, a little caveat with that is if you save $850 a month on your rent because you move somewhere else, you have already allocated for the last couple of months those funds towards housing. So don't put yourself in a disadvantageous position and say, I've saved 850, I can use 450 to go out with my friends now, and I'll just save the other 450. You have already set that money aside with your current situation. So make sure that you're allocating 100% of that savings towards your future home ownership. Otherwise, you're putting yourself in a less ideal situation by cohabitating with somebody if you're, not necessarily doing that now. And you're just going to blow the cash. So don't do that. All right. So that would be my strategy for savings: is list out all of the items that you're spending on a monthly basis, highlight 1, 2, or 3 of those items that typically take up the biggest proportionate share of your monthly expenses, and see, is there a way that I can reduce my monthly expenses to make up this gap? And I think when when we think, oh, I need 20, 30, 40,000 bucks, I'm not saying it's not a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but when you break it down into small bite-sized chunks of saying, I can do this every month. I could make $300 a week. This is how I'm going to do it, which is something we're going to talk about in a second. It becomes more palatable, and it just, in your brain, it's just easier to digest to be like, okay, this is actually a realistic thing, instead of thinking I got to save 40 grand. that's a really big overarching task to try to accomplish yourself. So we need to break it down into some very simple, easy to digest strategies. They say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I'm not out here trying to say that you should eat elephants. I think that's a terrible thing to do. But if you need a strategy to be able to break down these big goals, it's by doing these, simple things and being consistent with it. So we talked about savings, we talked about that strategy. The second thing I want to talk about, which I think is the likely easier situation than packing all your stuff and finding a new finding a roommate that you love and you want to live with and all that kind of stuff, is probably just increasing your income. And so if we're talking about increasing your income by 1666 per month, and we divide that by 4, that's $416 per week. Or if we divide that by 30 days, that's $55 a day. So we have to think about a couple strategies. How do I make an extra 400 bucks a week, or how do I make 50 bucks a day? Okay. Um, Maybe it means working a part-time job, which sucks because you know we're often tired after our full-time job. But you have to choose the lesser of two evils. Do I want to not work hard for a short period of time and not accomplish my goal of home ownership because I want to sacrifice that, or am I going to take the harder route for a short period of time and be able to get myself on the property ladder to be able to build wealth over the longer period of time so that my life is easier in the future? I've always been the type of person to do the hard thing now to make my life easier later, but there's a lot of people that don't want to do that now. But unfortunately, life may not be as easy as you hope later because we didn't put in the work now. All right. So one of the um, one of the strategies that I would say to potentially consider is, how are you spending your time outside of your traditional work hours, anyways? Um, can we turn the time that you're already spending doing these passion projects into income anyways, because you already like spending your time doing it? So for me, uh, I spend a lot of time walking my dog. And I know this is maybe like a cop out answer, but a lot of people, like if you're a millennial and you're watching this and you don't have kids yet, you might have some pets, you might have a dog, and you might say, hey, look, I could walk another one or two dogs at the exact same time I'm already doing the thing and make the extra. I don't even know what it costs for a dog walk because it's been a while since I've had a dog walker, but I think it used to cost us like 15 or 20 bucks a walk. And so if you think, I need to make an extra 55 bucks a day, well, you're pretty much there by walking 2 or 3 dogs a day at the time that you're already walking your own dog, right? So, I'm not saying that that's the exact strategy that you need to use, but I would say from a strategic perspective, is there a way to turn the things that you're already, to turn the passion projects that you're already working on or spending your time on every day into something that could potentially produce income for you? One other thing that kind of goes to income and savings together that I wanted to mention was a strategy that I learned from one of my mentors when it comes to strategic business advantages, and helping to reduce some of these expenses on the business side of things. And this has worked really, really well for me. And that was, how can I turn my expenses into income? So every single month, I have my assistant, and we're constantly building different things for the team, for our clients, for the agents, strategies, all that kind of stuff. So I I love my assistant, and I want to continue to pay her, and I want to make sure that her payroll is covered every month. So is there a way that we can repurpose some of the work that she does on a monthly basis and turn that into income from another stream? Because it's costing me money as an expense to keep her on as an employee, but she's producing really valuable work. And is there a way that we can take that and create income from it? So sometimes it's coaching calls with other agents, and I can repurpose some of the stuff that we work on together and that kind of thing. So I'm able to turn the expense of payroll into potential income, or maybe I have somebody on the team work on a different project that brings in income for the team. So I'm turning the expenses that we inherently have or inevitably have into income on the other side. And so you're probably thinking, okay, that sounds cool from a business strategy. But one thing I would say is maybe go back to that savings list and say, what monthly recurring revenue type items, such as, Netflix or whatever it happens to be, and do I have other people in my friends group that are also paying for these exact same fees on a monthly basis? And is there any way legally to combine our efforts so that we can, reduce those expenses, but still not sacrifice our lifestyle? Because I think when we talked about earlier the Starbucks and the Netflix thing, it's like you can do it, but it sucks. It's now that thing's out of your life. Is there a way for two people to eliminate one of those things and you guys to still both have the access? That's maybe a really simple, easy, strategic way to kind of have a little bit of a hybrid of what I've just talked about from the business strategy perspective. Or is there something that you're spending money on every month that you may be able to repurpose and create that $55 a day income from? I don't know. Potentially, I don't know what your life looks like, but that's kind of how I would strategically look at my monthly expenses: is can I repurpose this and have this cost covered for me so it's no longer an expense, or can I make money from that? I don't know, but that would get me closer to my goal of home ownership. And then the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is investing, which I think for the purposes of this video is probably the lowest. I could make a lot of other videos on this, but it's probably the lowest priority of the savings and income. So for the three things, I would probably go increase my income first, probably the easiest, lowest barrier to entry. Save money kind of sucks because you're probably gonna have to change your lifestyle a little bit, but it works. And then the third thing is investing. And so when I think about, we were talking about having $12,500 in your bank account at the beginning of this video, you know, to get to 20,000 from that 12,500 in a simple, easy manner, we're looking at almost 100% return. And so to be able to get almost 100% return on your investment with fairly little risk, given the fact that we have, I don't want to say like a super insignificant nest egg, but we're only 30% of the way to our goal of 32,000 or so. I wouldn't want to put that capital at risk. And so if we think of a relatively low risk investment return, you might be looking at, like, let's say 5 to 10%. Well, that's still only going to get us 600 to 1250 for the rest of the year. And so it's great, but I don't know if I would be willing to put my capital at risk for that overall return. Personally, I would just focus on the income and the savings at this point in time. And if you find a great investment opportunity, great, but it'd probably be, of the three things, the lowest on the totem pole that I would think from the easiest and strategic way for me to be able to get that 20K, right? So that would be my personal breakdown. That's actually what I did. To end up purchasing my first home. And I'm gonna make a ton of other videos, but I just want to also say, you're probably, if you're like just starting your home ownership journey, you need to get it out of your head that you're getting the best house the first time that you're purchasing. That was something that seemed more realistic for our parents' generation, but as housing costs become more unaffordable, this is a in order to get your dream house, like say in the intros of my videos, you have to have some type of strategy to get there. You don't just go from 0 to 100 and get your absolute dream house, the 4-bed, 4-bath thing with a pool in the backyard, unless typically you have assistance from family or friends. But if this is like a boots on the ground thing, like I'm doing it myself, I did all of this without help. There was a little bit of help from my parents just in terms of co-signing, which is something else we can talk about later. But all of this started with a very small amount of money from me at the beginning. And I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just saying, like, you absolutely can do it too, without question. You just have to be strategic. You have to be patient, and you have to think about these things and break it down and just do the work consistently over time. If you're willing to wait, you're willing to be patient, and you're willing to trust the process, without question, at some point in probably the next 10 years, we can build a strategy with you to be able to get you into that dream house. But to have the wrong expectations on the front end and to not commit to it is not a great strategy to be able to get you there. It's just, I know it sucks to say, but it's just the truth. So with that, I will leave you guys. Save, increase your income, I think, is the best strategy, and invest. If you guys found any value in this video, please give me a thumbs up and a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.